Good morning, Kris.
Hi.
This morning, we are going to interview you about your 25 years in business as the president and owner of Wings Seminars.
Great.
Yeah. So we have all kinds of questions. We posted
Spontaneous questions.
Spontaneous questions. Last night I posted it on Facebook, so we have some of our grads who are going to be asking questions, and then I have a few of my own.
Great.
So one of the questions that I had is, in thinking about beginning things that sometimes in the moment I don't know they're going to be as big as they are, I'll make a decision. I wonder in your process about deciding to commit to this entity of Wing Seminars, was there one moment in time where you knew that you were stepping onto a path that was going to change your life?
That it was going to change my life? Yes. As soon as the offer was made of who in the staff wanted to take over the previous company, Cohen and Associates, basically James and I just looked at each other and said, of course we'll do that. Not knowing how to run a business, not knowing what it would take, but the intention was perfectly clear. So in that moment, I realized with that commitment, yes, that was going to change my life. I was standing up for something really important to me that I had never done before.
Mm-hmm. So was there a moment you said yes and then you went, uh-oh, or oh, wow?
Not for a long time. I was on such a high of yes that didn't come until I really bumped up against things that I didn't know how to do. Then it was like, this is real.
Did you have in mind making changes to what you had seen, or were you really just wanting to continue on the work of Cohen and Associates?
No, I was crystal clear that I wanted to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the work, and I didn't agree with many of the ways the teaching was done. It was very authoritative, confrontational, and that doesn't align with my values or my belief in how people learn best. And so James and I worked on changing that right away, and we were in business together for just short of 7 years. And since that time, I've made even more changes, where the only confrontation that happens in our work is the person confronting themselves and their own beliefs. So I believe in compassionate, honest, loving, and respectful teaching, not, whoop you upside the head kind of thing.
Okay. So 25 years is a long time, mm-hmm. and it's kind of cool to stop and take a moment and pause and see where you've been, mm-hmm. thinking about where you want to go. One of the questions that I got on Facebook from Cindy Curran was, in this moment, looking back at your 25-year-ago self, is there something that you would tell her now that you didn't know then? Well, you know what? That's such a huge question. I already get it. There's tons you know now that you didn't know then.
Yeah, right.
So what's the first thing that came to your mind, that just knowing what you know today, that you wish you would have known more?
I think would be to have my focus balanced on results and relationships. I think one of the ways that I have actually been in the way of the process is that my focus has been more on relationships than the results. And I think there are ways, money has never been my focus here. It's been the work, and I think that I have actually supported people doing less than they could do. So in a way, undermining the results of the company by doing that. Mm-hmm. So I would say hold this in balance. That a company can't be a company without the results.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the questions that I really loved that Meredith Reese sent was, what would you do today if you knew you could not fail?
I would have wings in every major city in the United States. I'd have in Europe, in Asia, in India. I'd be all over the world. I truly believe that what we teach at Wings is transformative and would shift our educational system, our politics. I mean, accountability is a really powerful thing. You know, people working together collaboratively is amazing. You know, I look at our political system right now and go, how can it possibly succeed when it's all about adversity? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. A question that Jerry Carr sent me was that she wanted to know from you is what has been one of your greatest struggles over the past 25 years? Like, I know that, you know, in any endeavor that is as big as Wings Seminars, there's probably been a lot of challenges along the way, but are there one or two struggles that you can talk about that that you think people would want to know?
Well, I think the biggest struggle in this business has always been having people know what we do. I truly believe if people knew what we did, there would be people lined up out to I-5 and up to Seattle and down to San Francisco. People want their lives back and how to live them and how to communicate with the people they really love. And so the hardest thing has been, how do we translate what we do to people that don't know what we do, what they're going to get?
Yeah, I definitely know that from just being here over the last 11 years. So what have you learned from that? You know, as you come up against that or bump up against that challenge, what do you think has been the greatest learning for you in that?
The more I be what we teach, the easier it is for people to know what we do. So as I move through the world, when I live honestly and openly and support that in my staff and live what we teach, I think people can get a better sense of what it is we do.
There's also Innovative Learning Group. Many people don't know it, but a question that came to us from Adrienne Adam is, what is Innovative Learning Group and what is the relationship between Innovative Learning Group or ILG and Wings?
Well, Innovative Learning Group is the name of the corporation. We do business as Wings Seminars, and the intention of that was to create a name that was more conducive to corporate training. I mean, Wings Seminars, you could go, oh, that's nice, you know, but Innovative Learning Group has a solidity to it, and we really do have a primary focus this year of developing that and doing more corporate training, team building. Before
you bought Wings, and you may have already answered this question, but what was your life before Wings? I mean, what kind of career, what had you been doing prior to being president of Wings Seminars?
Previous to Wings, my main focus was my family. Being a really good wife, mother, taking care of home, healing myself after breast cancer. And I always worked, but small things that wouldn't detract from my family. So I had my little extra spending money, that kind of thing. Managed a, clothing shop, cook store, did cooking classes, sold real estate, things that people kind of dabble in, and none of it was right. As soon as I did the personal effectiveness seminar, I knew this is where I belonged.
Yeah. So you hadn't really ever considered owning a business before or being a business owner before. I think that that's really good for people to know that, as we get really clear about our intentions, our life presents itself, which I think is really awesome. Another question that came to us was from Jen Hoffman, and she asked you, the question from her is, you support and encourage so many, what feeds you? My work. I mean, I love my work, and I just finished a personal effectiveness seminar with 34 people in it, and, to watch the transformation is amazing. My husband, my children, my home, gardening, walking, eating. I love to eat. I really lead a pretty simple life. Writing, poetry, but being healthy is a big part of my life, and that means in relationships as well as physically and spiritually. What changes have you seen? assisted over 35,000 individuals in one way or another in this work, not necessarily being their facilitator for PES, but certainly providing this structure that people come and do learning. In the past 25 years, have you seen a change in how people approach personal development, how people approach life, things that have made a big difference in the quality of people's lives? Are they looking for different things coming into the seminar than they were 25 years ago?
I don't think so. I think people have always wanted to have their life be meaningful and fulfilling. I notice changes reflected in our culture when we're really fear-based. Sometimes that brings people in because they want to feel stronger, and sometimes it keeps people away. So no, I think people find their way here when they're in transition or seeking something more. Mm-hmm. And sometimes people wait a long time before they'll do that, before they'll say, I need help.
As far as your own journey in these past 25 years and your teaching style, your intentions in teaching, what are some of the changes that you as a teacher have noticed within yourself or have noticed your own personal evolution?
I notice I want to burst out laughing.
I know. And what I mean...
Because, no, I go back to, there have been times when I look back to 1984 when I started teaching, and I go, oh, those poor people, oh my God, I was just so bad. But I know that's not true. But when I look at the change in me, in the beginning it was a lot of proving that I could do it. Because all the facilitators mostly were men, and very much authoritative, very much, this is the way you have to do things. And that was kind of scary for me. So, I pumped up my, upright, righteous self, and that's gone. What I decided over time is the only way for me to do this, if I'm teaching about authenticity, is to be authentic, to be myself, instead of overriding my own vulnerability and, being somebody other than who I really am. So that would be a primary thing. I'm no longer, it's been a long time, having to prove something when I teach. I'm there to invoke something, to inspire something, to bring something forth rather than to lay myself on.
That's great. And you're laughing about that question or where you were at. I know there have been lots of funny things that have happened inside the seminar room. And and outside the seminar room.
Yes.
So what are some of your most fun memories of being in there? Some of the things that you've personally done or that you can talk about?
Oh, I remember I had a long silk skirt on, very pretty clothes. And I had gone to the ladies' room. And I was getting ready to walk up to the front of the room, big class. And somebody taps me on the shoulder, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. And they said, your skirt is tucked in your pantyhose. So the front looked like it was down, but it was a full skirt. But the whole back was in my pantyhose. So I would have sailed up to the front with my whole posterior showing. That's one, just one. My microphone has been hysterical. It's been many places and revealed many things at funny moments. Yeah.
So, Kris, there's a lot of tools and resources that you give inside the Personal Effectiveness Seminar and in LifeWorks and in the teachings that you do. What are some of the tools that you call upon on a daily basis?
Well, I call on the dependency and source model all day long. Shifting from wanting somebody else's approval or doing things the way other people think I should to creating what I want and being accountable for it. That is a bedrock of my life. Cornerstones of a balanced life, of allowing myself to step into all of those. It took me a long time to learn to laugh at myself, but now it's easy, win-win collaboration, moving from conflict to collaboration is a huge piece. I used to hate conflict, and therefore I stuffed it all inside. And now I realize, hey, a conflict is just two people wanting different things. That's all it is. That's nothing to be afraid of. Just to find out how can we both have what we want, and maybe even create something greater than we thought was possible. So I would say those are the three main pieces that I am plugged into, use all the time.
We've talked about some of the most fun moments that you've had. What are some of the most I'm wanting to say poignant for you?
When I've had to fire somebody. That especially in the early years, that was really, really hard. And especially a facilitator. And yet, what made it easier for me was to realize Wings was more important to me than one individual. And the reason I would fire a facilitator is because they were out of alignment with what the company did. So even though it was really, really difficult for me, the alignment of my company is so important. Integrity is like a cornerstone of this business. And to have a facilitator not in alignment with that, even though it was scary, even though difficult, it was like, this is what I want to do.
25 years ago, when you began Wing Seminars, I don't know if you knew that 25 years later, you would be your 67-year-old self, which most people would have a hard time believing that. But I'm thinking about at a time in your life when a lot of people are winding down and retiring and moving on to different adventures. What can you tell us about what your dream is for the next 25 years? About, if you could now go forward and, see your 25-year-old self 25 years from now. I don't know how old that will be. You can do the math faster than I can.
92.
92. Mm-hmm. What would you want your 92-year-old self
to look back on?
Yeah, to look back on.
That Wings was worldwide. That the first 5 days of school nationally was this kind of work. I think we would just shift our culture very quickly. What I would look to in just the next 5 years, for me, I have no desire to retire. None. I think I'm just getting good at what I do. And what I would like to be doing is training trainers to take this work out into the world. PES trainers, crossover trainers, That's what I'd like to be doing.
Another question that I got is when you come up against your fears, and I think right now this is a really good time to be talking about this because of where the economy has been and some of the changes that the business has been experiencing and some of the financial challenges that we've been experiencing. When you come up against fears, what specific tools do you use to help you in moving towards your dreams and goals or in just becoming more resourceful?
I have a mantra, which is, I can handle this. I just don't know right now how to do that. Mm-hmm. But I totally trust my resourcefulness. One of my greatest learnings in this work was learning how to make the unacceptable acceptable. So when you can do that, you're free. So can I accept going bankrupt? Yeah, I can accept that. I could handle that. Could I accept Wings going away? Yes, I could handle that. I don't want that to happen. I want it to grow. But when you make the unacceptable acceptable, you're not caught in fear. You go, okay, I can handle this. And it's just learning how. Okay, what are the steps to that?
One thing I know for sure is there are a lot of people out there who support this work right now, who have supported it for the last 25 years along with you and have really helped to grow and develop the business. And what do you want to say to those people?
Now?
Yeah.
It's time to advocate. It's time to remember what you learned here and how important it's been to you in your life. And you know, we have 35,000 grads. However, that's not saying how many people have been impacted by the 35,000. You know, because coworkers, family have been impacted by the people that come to this. So it's time to advocate. It's time to say, yes, this is important. This is something I want to have be here for my family and my friends and my co-workers. So, time to stand up. And be happy about it. You know? I think of wings as soul food. And when a great restaurant comes into town, I want to support it. And I'd like you to think of us that way. It's nourishment.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that almost all of the growth that our sustainability has come from people going out and telling people about their experience, or more often than not, just living their experience, and people asking them about how they became such great communicators, or, you know, how did they end up doing that thing that they've wanted to do, or making that shift they've wanted to make. So it's good.
So I say this very frequently. I get the best mail. And it is mail from grads saying, this is what I just did. I never would have done it. This is the life I'm creating 10 years later, 15 years, 25 years later. I am still every single day practicing what I learned in the personal effectiveness seminar, crossover, whatever. And it works.
Gandhi said that my life is my message, and that the actions that he, if you wanted to know what he was about, look at what he was doing. What's your message?
Equality and wholeness. I think we live in a one-up, one-down world in many, many ways that we don't even realize. And if I'm an instrument of anything, the orchestra I want to lead is one where people value themselves and step fully into their own life, their own magnificence, their own choices, and their own uniqueness. I don't know what's right for you. I don't know what's right for you. But I do know how to assist you in discovering yourself, who you are, what you want, what you dream of, and your own incredible brilliance. That's what I see. And you know what? Duh, that message was for me too. Because I compared myself to everybody. I was totally one up, one down. And I usually was one down. And to take my place rightfully in the world and to see myself as an equal with anyone was a huge step. And that's what I want to support people in doing and being. You know, the guy on the street corner. People go by and think they're superior. They're not. If you listen to his story, you would be deeply touched.
That makes, or what I'm thinking about in listening to that, or listening to what you said, which was really beautiful, is the idea of service, and what service is. Like how would you define service? So what is your definition of service, Kris?
Being aligned in my values and giving unconditionally. Using my gifts and talents and setting them free. It's not taking care of somebody. It's not making anybody anything. It's just using what I've got for the highest good. Whether that's preparing a meal for my family, You know, you can chop lettuce in a lot of different ways. Or you can tear it by hand in a really gentle way. And supporting that in others, to see that they have incredible gifts to share. I believe service is living my life fully every moment, giving away what I've got. And supporting that in others. I mean, saying, you've got amazing gifts and talents. Let's use them. Let's put them to use.
What, for you, is your favorite part? Is there a favorite part?
The moment that I see someone realizes this is my life. That I'm the one who's choosing and creating what I'm creating. And I can create what I want. That moment is so amazing and joyful.
Is there anything that you would like to say? I'm going to let you close this video. So any last, this is your 25-year moment in time. Anything you would like to say to the world?
I guess what I'd like to say is, let it be 50. I have 92. I'll be 92 in 25 years. And to have wings being thriving and growing and helping people have the lives they want, what better dream?
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.